Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, John the House Guy, here with my lovely co-host,
Kim the Homegirl.
and this is the House Guy and Homegirl podcast, where we try to bring you relative information each and every week about real estate and the home building process. And this week, we're going to talk about interest rates.
You're listening to the House Guy and Homegirl podcast, a podcast about real estate and real life. As realtors, home builders, and real estate investors, John and Kim keep it real. Former teachers turned real estate professionals, they have a heart for helping others. Join them each week as they discuss all things home. And now, here's your hosts, John and Kim.
So, let's get started with the show. Kim, what has been going on in your life lately?
Oh, wow. We are fast forwarding, just beating on down the road. It is almost November. How did that even happen?
Yeah, Halloween.
Almost November. Y'all, check yourself. Check your calendar. I don't even know how that happened. Anyways, senior year for Emmett, just bumping on through school. He's about to just be bumped out.
Yeah.
That transcript
We don't
locked
like
up.
bump outs. Yeah, we
Yep.
don't like bump outs.
Just put on the shelf for good, collecting dust. But anyways, senior year, crazy year. Emmett's fixing to do his last band contest on Saturday. Just trying to keep up with all the things. Trying to finish this house down here.
Even this morning.
Yeah, what
To
about...
the last minute, we were putting in backsplash here. I mean, up to the last minute before we started shooting the show. We're making changes and verifying some things and getting the backsplash put in. And then backsplash, cleaning lady, we're out of there.
Yep. So that's the deal there. I don't even know. I'd have to go back and look at my pictures to see what I've been doing. I did bake a lot last night.
Oh my gosh, you sure did.
Anyways, yeah, 40 cupcakes and 4 batches of boiled cookies.
Bold cookies.
Yeah, a cake.
Chocolate oatmeal cookies.
Anyways, that's for the Saturday after the band contest. Anyways, what's been going on with you?
Same as you. We've been pretty much together. We got Crystal's house going up on the mountain now, so we've been
I forgot.
almost finished there. We got the framing done there, and so we're in the process.
They are the sweetest little family too. It's like you work, but just talking to them, I have to okay, all right, I got to break away because I
have to break you
I
away.
could talk to them for
hours.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes.
I know that because you did last time we met together.
I know they're sweet. Even her daddy's sweet. So.
Oh, absolutely.
And today's my dad's birthday. Woo!
Yay! Happy birthday to Roger.
He made it. It's been a rough year for him, but so thankful that he made it to 68 today. So
absolutely, yeah. So
yep.
Other than that,
Let's jump in. Yeah, dive in.
Trucking right along. And one thing that we've been seeing, we have noticed in the real estate market. This time of year, typically things slow down anyway.
Right.
As people are kind of gearing up for Halloween is the start of, a bunch of holidays. And you got November is Thanksgiving, December is Christmas, January is New Year's. Typically, this is the last ditch effort for people who are buying a home. So it's slow season. And one of the big things
that don't really need to per se buy a house. If they're just kind of in limbo, I might want to sell, or we may need to be looking for a house, or people that are kind of wishy-washy. Houses always sell, but it does start slowing down. Right?
Oh yeah, but if you're talking about volume of sales, right?
Volume, definitely. I think the holidays play an important factor in that, and the fact that it's getting colder, and it's almost like we kind of go into hibernation.
Well, in some places it's getting colder. It's not colder here yet.
It is not colder here. Y'all know that.
It's like 80 degrees. But one of the things that's affecting the real estate market, is everybody knows, and it's what everybody asks about every time we, if you see somebody, you're making small talk. Well, how's the housing market?
I know. I need to say, hi, my name is Kim, and the interest rate is currently.
That's it. And lenders are dealing with that too. But that's what we're talking about today, interest rates, right? And how interest rates have kind of affected the real estate market. And historically, those two things go hand in hand. We always have interest rate and pricing. Those are the two main drivers of the real estate market. So what I thought would be a cool exercise today is just to take the last 10 years, data from the last 10 years, and analyze and say, hey, what if I bought a house in 2013, which was 10 years ago? What if I bought a house in 2018? And what if I bought a house now in 2023, current market conditions? So,
right. And the interest rate, as you said, and like it's a very important. Like it plays a huge role in how much of a house you can have. Just a lot of things. That interest rate is probably like priority number 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, if
under
you're payment
location.
driven, like if you're,
Exactly. If you're payment driven, if you've got cash to spend but that interest rate, y'all, like it's something that's not changing right now. So
if we're looking back into our, it's not a crystal ball, you look at the past, that's the future, right? But what do you look at the past in? Whatever it is, if you're looking back over the past, in the 2013, average interest rate was around 3.66. And that seems like, like it was not that low, but it was, like it seems like the low interest rates to me kind of go with 18, 19, 20 around COVID, all that. But looking at the actual historical data, 3.66 in 2013. And so what we're going to do in this is we're going to kind of keep our baseline house price the same, $300,000 house, okay? But knowing that in 2013, a $300,000 house and 2023, a $300,000 house are not the same.
they are not the same. They are not the same because, home prices are driven by so many things, but primarily like comps, what their neighboring homes sold for and appraisal value. And to get an appraisal value, they have to have the comps too. So
and the beauty of real estate is it appreciates, right? So
correct.
over time it goes up in value.
Right.
That's the beauty
for
of
the most
investing
part
in
yeah.
real estate. Yeah, unless you're in some kind of crazy market conditions.
Right. So
like
square foot price is really what gauges a lot of that number. Like how did they get how did they get to the number $300,000? Basically, through the appraisal report, they looked at X, Y, Z, all these factors that they added in, higher end things. Was it a brick house and this and that, and then they go by a square foot price. So back then, what would you say a $300,000? I mean, I know that's not really in the exercise. So I'm gonna start right here. So looking at square foot price, I'm saying that this $300,000 house in 2013 is about $100 a square foot, which gives you about a 3,000 square foot house. Write that down, and that'll kind of give our viewers an idea of what the size of house that was $300,000 back then. Okay.
Yeah, and location too, right? Like
Right.
you could limp into the river at 300,000,
Right.
for sure. But let's just kind of get back on track here. So,
Yep.
$300,000 house, we're going to assume a 5% down payment on this. So every time the down payment is going to be $15,000, right? So a $300,000 house, $15,000 down payment. The mortgage amount every time is going to be $285,000.
That's what you're financing.
That's what you're financing. So in 2013, at a rate of 3.66% on a fixed rate 30-year mortgage, your monthly mortgage payment would be $1,308.54.
It's about right. Yeah.
$1,308. This was in 2013. All right. And over the course of that loan, you would pay in interest $127,475 in interest.
Over the course of 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So that gives you a ballpark of what we're looking at. So just kind of think 10 years ago, $300,000, 3.66% interest, $1,308 is your payment. Mm-hmm. That's the main sticking points right there. Now,
so $1,308 was your monthly payment, and if you paid that for 30 years, you would have paid off the house, and you also would have paid about $130,000 over because of the 3.66 interest rates. And I mean that's great, honestly. I mean, looking at it in today's time, that interest rate, depending on what kind of loan you got, you generally those rates are locked in. Some are on 5-year balloons and whatnot. But
if you did that, I mean, if you did this, what we're talking about, you bought a $300,000 house in 2013. You are a third of the way through. Right?
You are in good shape.
You're
That's
a third
right.
of the way through.
Yep.
All right, so you're all in when you get done and you get it paid off. If you don't refinance or anything, you're all in at say $427,500. That's where you're at. Now, fast forward. So now I had to get my computer because this didn't print off or whatever. But the next scenario, same house or same cost, right? $300,000 house, $15,000 down, $285,000 mortgage, 4.5% interest rate. So it went up almost a full point. Now your mortgage payment is going to be $1,448.
And that was in 2018.
So your mortgage payment went up about $150 over the course of 5 years, right? So now the same price point costs you in interest $150 more, right? So same house. We use that same house for everything. But the interest rate is 4.54% and the mortgage payment is $1,448.
Yeah, and I'm just like guesstimating. In 2018, I'm thinking that the square foot price was around $120 a square foot, which brings the house up to $360, but it's only a 300 square foot house. So let me go back and do the math on that. Let's see.
300,000
300,000 divided by 120. So now you've dropped down. You've lost 500 square foot.
Yeah, about 2,500 square foot.
Yep.
In the same price point, right?
Yep.
And so now do this math for me. You're going to do 140 times 360. $50,000. Okay. This says that your difference, total interest paid over 30 years is $233,608. And that means that you're all in on this house for $533.
Yep. So see where the difference, like almost that 1% cost you a whole $100,000 basically.
Yeah. And you got less house.
And you have less house. So
the interest rate, it drives the market, right?
It drives the market, right.
So now let's look at today, right? 'Cause
today.
That's what everybody's worried about, right?
Right.
Nobody really cares about what happened 5 years ago.
But that's when I say, like, interest rates like that, like, drives how much of a house you can afford. If you're a cash-driven buyer, you know, if you've got, if you've got to take out a mortgage.
You're taking a mortgage out. And this is all, like I said, 5% down.
Right.
So it's going to be a government type loan.
Right. If you've got $400,000 that you can put and buy a house with, well, that's $400,000. You're not having to finance it and spend the interest and spend that extra $233 over the course of 30 years.
Cash is king. That's why they say that.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. So tell us about today. So today interest rates are, as of today.
So right now we're looking at an average. All right. We're just looking at an average 6%. 6%. So that's 1.5 higher than they were 5 years ago.
6? Like I would go as far as, did you do your math on 6 though?
I did. And that's on average, right? I mean, you can see them as high as 7. You can see them as low as 5.5. Right, I've seen that. You know, especially on like a VA type loan.
Depends on what loan you have.
Depends on the program you're using, right?
But it's all gonna, like, some of that you have to pay points for.
You can buy down your rate.
Yeah.
You can finance. I mean, you can, if you have more down payment money, you can finance less. But just keeping everything the same: $300K, $15,000 down, a mortgage of $285,000 at 6% for 30 years. Now your payment is going to be $1,709.
So it went up a whole, $400?
Over 10 years, your payment went up from $1,308 to $1,709. $401.
Yep, right. $400. Yep. And so tell me about how much money will I have spent at the end of 30 years if I lock that in at 6%.
Total interest over 30 years, $273,000.
Well, that's after 12 months.
No, I'm looking at this.
Oh, okay.
$273,302 in interest.
In interest.
Which puts you in the whole thing after 30 years at $573,200 basically.
So $573,000 is what that $300,000 house is going to cost you over the course of 30 years.
You keep it the whole time.
Now, let me just do my square foot price. Let's see how much of a house you can get for $300,000. I'm going to say that I'm going to say 160. That's pretty much my base point. So 300,000 divided by 160. So now the square feet went from 3,000 square feet in 2013 for 300,000. 2018, 2,500 square feet for 300,000. And now we're at 2023, 10 years later, and we've dropped down a whole bunch of square feet. You're looking at 1,875 square feet for $300,000.
So the
And that's an average. I'm saying that, an average place, a house would go for about 160 a square foot.
here's the moral of the story though. 10 years ago, $300,000 would buy you a very nice home.
And like you said, like maybe even a house on the
Yeah,
river.
maybe you get on the water, right? It'll buy you a really nice home, $300,000. And now $300,000
half of that.
It's not a starter home, but it's a step
But
up.
it's literally almost like a half of that. Like it's 375 square feet more than half.
You're getting an average home
Right.
now for what you could have been 10 years ago, super nice, right? But now we can't go back. We don't have a time machine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So what I would suggest and what I would tell people is this. A lot of people right now are trying to wait out the interest rate.
Right. Oh, my goodness. I hear people all the time.
I'm going to wait till the rates come down.
Right. And and what has happened over time, you and I have seen it. We're like, they're not going to come down. Like we know that. We know based on trends and things like that, they're not coming down anytime soon, like majorly.
Well, I pulled that up earlier, and analysts predict that over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to be 5.5% to 7.5% on interest. Right? We may see it tick down a little bit, tick up a little bit, but most of the things that I read, and one guy I saw on YouTube put it really good. Survive until 2025. Survive to 25. If you're trying to buy,
and that's for
interest
everything.
rates are going to be up there a little bit.
Yep.
Now, how big of a difference does that really make, though? Let's look at that, because if you're thinking, I'm not going to buy right now, I'm going to continue to rent, then
do the math on that real quick.
that's a totally different
Let's
ballgame.
say if you're looking at
$1,200 a month of rent.
right, 1,200 times.
If you look at that, you're going to spend per year $14,400 gone.
Gone, period.
Right? Now, I've done that math.
Like light it on fire and watch it burn.
Well, I mean, you got a roof over your head.
I know,
That's all
right.
you got.
But
you
like
didn't
at
have to fix anything.
But at the end of it, when you say, hey, I'm ready to move out, you tell your landlord that or whatever, like you don't get any of that money back. None of that belongs to you.
So if you look at that same house that we're talking about right now, this 1,875 square foot house for $300K, if we bought it today, after 12 months, your mortgage balance is going to be about $278,000. So you're going to get $7,000 in equity in that year. And you're going to get appreciation on your house. So that same house is probably going to be worth about $309,000 a year from now. Because it's going to continue that's going to continue to go up. I really feel like the area that we live in doesn't suffer.
And the
from
trends, I mean, if you look at all the research and you map it out, it's almost like a math problem. Like you just keep doing, like based on X, Y, and Z, the numbers will continue to go.
3% is what I kind of figured it. So if you're at 309, all right, so after 12 months, you're going to be 309 minus 278, right? So what you owe, what you could buy, what you sell your house for, right? So you're going to be to the good. You put $15,000 in it, right? But you're going to be to the good about $10,000. So it's a swing. If you're renting a $1,200 a month apartment or $1,200 a month house, it's almost a swing of after 1 year $25,000. So you got your $14,000 that you didn't pay for rent, and you got your $10,000 that you made because your house went up. So you made $25,000. That's why real estate is the key to building wealth, because you get the appreciation and you get the mortgage pay down, right? So you're paying it off over time, and it's going up over time, and that gap is the difference, right?
Right.
And so like I said, the current interest prediction is 5.5 to 7.5% for the next at least 12 to 18 months. Right. Yeah. So does it make sense to buy a house? Again, they always say the perfect time to buy a house
is now.
Is 5 years ago.
Well, I was about to say is yesterday.
Right. 5 years ago. The second best time is now.
Right.
So that's a real easy way to look at it right there. If you look back over 10 years, you would have, a 3,000 square foot house, and you could sell it now for
you would make your money plus.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, just look at that. Do your math on that. 3,000 square feet times 160. You did it earlier, right? 495, I think is what you came up with.
I'm sorry, 160 times. Oh goodness. Yeah, 480.
$480. So you have $180,000. This is just really rough ballpark, but
That's
$180,000
10 years
after 10 years, you made
Yeah.
180 grand
in equity.
in equity, right? Now you got to sell it, you got to buy something else or do whatever you're going to do.
Right.
But 180, that's a pretty good return.
That's
on your
pretty good
investment,
return.
right?
Yeah.
So
that's $180,000 free and clear for you to go and put in another house.
now do the 5 years ago. Let's do that. Let's do 2,500 times 160.
Oh, was it? Okay, 25 times 160, 400.
So that's $100,000 increase in the last 5
years,
right?
yeah.
So you're talking about, and look, here's the thing too. You only you put your payment into it, and then you put your $15,000 down, and you're going to have $100,000 in equity. So over the course of time, it's really going to be, like I said, the smart move is to buy. If you're renting, renting has its place, right? We know
It
that.
does.
And-
It really does, because some people are in limbo and, you're not for sure where you want, you're just in between. It's a good in between. Everybody has to have shelter and a roof over their head. That's a basic need. And renting does serve its purpose, and it's needed during some transitions in your life.
I mean, there's never going to be a time where nobody rents.
No, right.
There's always going to be rent, and that's the other beauty of the investment side of this is the same deal, right? If you
Right.
find somebody else to pay.
But now, what also that we've noticed too, that was so out of order. Something else we've also noticed with renting is that the cost of renting has went up.
Oh, it's going to continue.
dramatically.
Rental prices follow housing prices.
Right, but it has went up. Like I just heard somebody else say they were renting out their 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I would say it would probably sell for $200,000 in Muscle Shoals, and I think they said they were renting it out for $1,500. I'm like, like that, but that's those numbers are real, and if you are in the rental game, or you have to be, or whatever, just really map it out and see where you stand, and see, just start saving up money if you can, for that down payment, and start looking.
Let's do one more little math thing real quick, if you'll grab your calculator.
I love math.
Do 1,448 times 60.
That's going to be 86,880.
86,880. Right? And then $15,000 down payment.
Added to that,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be 101,880. So a little over 100,000.
Mm-hmm. So your $100,000 profit is really at that higher interest rate eaten up by the amount that's your money you're getting back.
Yep.
At the end of it, right?
Yep.
But the difference is you haven't paid anybody else to live there.
Right.
Whereas if you take that same, $1,200, do that. $1,200 times 60.
72.
$72,000
Plus 15.
you don't put the 15 because that's your down payment.
Oh, gotcha.
$72,000 loss if you rent
Rent.
for 5 years.
For 5 years.
And break even pretty much.
$72,000 that you don't get back. You're not anywhere that's going to a bank account, a savings account, any of that. Yeah. I also heard about interest rates. Somebody had a funny little saying about this: date the interest rates now and marry them later.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you want to capture that interest rate. You want to capture that appreciation
Right.
of the house pricing, because they're going to continue to go up.
They're going to, right.
And like Barbara Corcoran, I like to follow
Shark Tank
Shark
lady.
Tank,
Yeah,
Barbara
she's
Corcoran.
a real estate
big real estate
guru.
person. And she put a TikTok out, and it was like, well, what are you going to do when the interest rates come down? You know what's going to happen? All these thousands of people are going to flock
Right.
to the market and drive the prices up. So
Right.
you can pay a bunch, or you can pay a higher interest rate now, buy it, and then refinance
Refinance it later. And then if you do that, yes, it's going to cost you in closing cost, but more than likely that's what you're going to pay. You're going to pay more between now and then in rental in fees.
Yeah.
And rental, just monthly rent, So, because it's, how much is it to refinance ish? I mean,
I
like
don't know, 2 or 3% of your total.
2 or
of your
3%
finance.
of your total. So, 3% of $300,000,
$9,000.
right? $9,000, and so $9,000 divided by, let's say your average rent is $1,200.
7.5 months rent.
7.5 months rent. So yeah, that is true. That is true. So buy now, honestly, like buy now, date the interest rate now. When the interest rates come down, marry that better interest rate and refinance.
Date the rate and marry the house.
Oh yeah, did I say that? No.
Date the rate, marry the house, because you want to get the product.
Yeah, date the rate, the interest rate, and then marry the house, love it, and then refinance.
Yeah, because I think the overall theme, I would say, from today's show is this. The interest rates, while you feel like they are a huge deal when you're buying a house, they really aren't as important as getting a piece of property under your ownership.
Right.
Right. And you can, I mean, when everybody's playing on an even playing field as far as interest rate goes. So when those rates come back down and you own the property, now you've got this property at this other price and you can refinance it at that great rate. If you wait until they come down, now this price is escalated,
right?
And you're fighting everybody for it, just like we saw in 2020,
right.
2021.
We saw, yeah.
You couldn't get a house.
So. No, they were literally like within hours, like
gone.
Everything was gone. You couldn't even make it. You know, they were sight unseen sold. Let me say this too. You know, I know buying a house makes people like kind of, squirm in their seat and scratch their head, and they just get uncomfortable because they know that it's the right thing to do in their heart, but their mind is doing the math. And so, but if you fully understand, and of course, you need to, all this needs to be bathed in prayer, because it may or may not be the right time for you. But knowing all this, though, like setting it all out on the table, it still makes sense to buy a house now. And also, though, when you do buy a house, it's very important to choose the right realtor for you. Let me just throw my little 2 cents in there about a realtor, because every house is not all created equal. Make sure that you've got a good realtor in your corner that's guiding you through the process, that's checking all the boxes, that's, making sure, hey, did you check for this? Did you check for that? Well,
you're plugged into a good lender who can help you with all these
exactly.
rates and all these things.
Exactly. So there you have it, guys. Interest rates, the low down dirty of the interest rates. Basically, it's still a great time to buy a house. So when is the best time to buy a house? Like John said 5 years ago, yesterday. When is the next best time? Today. Don't wait. And if you have any questions, just give us a call and we can walk you through the process. And, everybody's situation is different. So we'd be glad to look at it and talk to you and put you in a home. So.
Yeah, we've thrown a lot of information out today. Hopefully, Lance, our editor, will be able to take that and put it in a way that you can break it down and understand it. I would recommend watching this one on YouTube. If you're listening to it on podcast, go back and watch it on YouTube so you can see some of the graphics and things that kind of help take all this information and make it make sense.
Yeah, and grab a little notebook and pencil and do the math yourself, and you can kind of plug in your own numbers if you've got a house that you're looking at, or you want to kind of know where your ballpark is, what kind of house you can afford, and plug in the numbers there. So
thanks so much for checking us out this week. If we can help you in any way, be sure to leave us a comment below, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for listening to the House Guy and Home Girl podcast, your #1 source for all things home. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check out our YouTube page for video content from the show.